How you doing?
All right. I wondered about that.
Absolutely, buddy.
You ready, Tammy?
We were ready, and your video came right
You
through.
ready? Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
Good to see you all. It is Tuesday, 9:30 on July the 14th. It's time for the regularly scheduled Scott County Council meeting. Let the record show that all members are present, 6 actually in person, 1 first time ever, as far as I know. We have a member present on Skype. And Dr. Randy Jones is that. You look good, Mr. Jones. And so with that, we will move into our agenda. But first, we'll ask if anyone out here has anything they'd like to discuss with the council, which we can't take any action on, but we'd be more happy to hear from you. Seeing no one, we'll move right into the agenda. The first thing on the agenda is Sheriff Jerry Gooden, building update, and Sheriff's pension.
All right. I brought me a helper today. I'm sure you all know her, Amy Beverly. She's my new chief financial officer, so.
Good, I'm glad you got somebody to order that.
Yeah, there you go, I get that. We just gotta keep her in line, so she gets out of line, just let me know, we'll bring her back here and slap her. All right, I'll be real quick for you all. So we got a couple things going on. One of them is this. I'm giving Tammy at the commissioners meeting the retirement benefit plan. Of course, you know what I'm saying? We could be here for 3 hours going over it. What I did at the commissioners meeting, and I'll do it with you all too. It's the same thing as that book is available. I gave her a copy of it. Tammy, that book, yeah. So if you all want to look at it, you can. Basically, we're solving. We're in decent shape. So that's my gist of it. Let's see here. One thing I'm happy to report on is that we have got every one of our law enforcement officers on the law enforcement side except one down comp time to 40 hours. We've been working on that. I promise you I'd get that down. So we've got one guy, Joe Veneri, that's got over 40, but he's taking his now. We're getting him down. So we'll have everybody down in case that we don't run into a problem. Hopefully I can get before. So we're good about that, and that's Amy's done a real good job of keeping track of that. So I depend on her a lot of stuff for that. Another thing we've got going on is we've got 3 Humvees that are down at the John Jones building. And I spoke to the commissioners, and the commissioners had given me approval to go ahead and trade those for equipment. So we was going to have the auction, and that's why they were down there. We moved stuff down to the auction, plus the auction's been canceled. So we went ahead and got the approval from the commissioners, and I always like to ask you folks too, you see what I'm saying? If it's okay, we'll go ahead and trade this. What we're doing is we've got a company out of Bowling Green, Kentucky. Is that right, Joe?
Yes, sir.
Bowling Green, Kentucky. They're called the Bunker LLC, and they specialize in military equipment. So we're going to trade them the Humvees for police equipment. So if that's okay with you all, you let me know if you want to take a quick go on, and I can.
Actually, I'm hoping that we get one from our department for Ben to drive. I'm just joking.
Yeah, I get.
Well,
Well,
yeah,
Let me write that down.
yeah. But we can work on that if you guys want to.
Yeah.
On the other side, on the leasing side.
Do you want to make a motion to allow this? I'll say. Try to keep it on motion, 90 seconds to allow the sheriff to go on with making the sheriff department sell it to or trade it for the question. Any questions or discussion? All in favor? Motion. Raymond?
I vote aye.
Vote aye. Thank you, sir. Motion carries 7-0.
Traveling on here, since the COVID, we've obviously been doing all kinds of video for the courts, and it has worked out tremendously.
Oh, great.
To the point that the judge actually asked us to, we think they're going to be doing it permanently now, even when the COVID lifts. So that's a big help to our employees, obviously, without having, people sitting in the courtroom and bringing them over and stuff. So what we're doing now is as we speak, actually, they're doing it today, we're building 2 courtrooms inside of the training room at the jail. It's on the main level of the jail. We're building 2 tiny courtrooms. Basically, all it is big enough for the cameras where they can sit there and talk to the judge. We're building 2 of them because what we can do is now we've been limited to just being able to have 1 judge at a time having court. We built 2 of them. Marcia can have court, and Jason can have court at the same time, Jason can have court, and the magistrate can have court at the same time now, we can duel it. So we're getting that done, I'm paying for that out of my commissary monies to get that done. So, and then along with that, we're hoping we'll be able to save some on our manpower because like I said, it would take sometimes 2 or 3 people to walk, just to walk people over.
Yeah.
So we're hoping that'll help out much. We're already doing all of the probation, 95% of the probation, they call those PR, what are those called? So the PRIs or PSIs? We post some sentence, something that they do. So they're already doing those online too. So right now, we don't have anybody come into the jail unless it's a defense attorney. And even they're going online, we're using those on Skype, like Raymond's at, they're Skyping in to do that. So we're able to keep everybody out of the jail, and it's working really, really great right now. Keep our fingers crossed that, you know, it will continue to do that. One thing I want to tell you is that we have our temperature kiosk in. If you want to see something neat, come over and take a look at those. We got 2 of them, one for people that's entering the jail, and one for people that's coming into the main lobby. What it is, I'm sorry, throw that down, I'm choking myself here. They just walk up to it, and they stand there for and I'm telling you, it's about 1.5 seconds, and it comes and says, it tells you your temperature, and then down below that it says, for safety conscious, please wear a mask. You don't have to touch no thermometers or anything, and what happens is we get somebody, we set the parameters on it. Right now we've got it set at 100 degrees, and if we get somebody that's 100 degrees that comes up and the temperature takes 100 degrees, it automatically takes a picture of them and sends it to Patty's cell phone. It says this person has tested, you know, and then on the screen, it'll say you're denied access to the jail. It'll tell them that right on there. So it's really, really neat. They did cost us about $3,000, but I'm telling you, it's going to be money well worth it for us over there because we were going through those little thermometers, you know what I'm saying? I did. Yeah, we're paying for everything. My goal is to try to do all this with all the additions and everything, and then, of course, we've remodeled the front of the jail because of the COVID too. That's all coming out of my funds, and the prisoners again are doing everything. And I really encourage you to come over there and just look at the changes that we've made in the lobby now. So everything's really, really going good, and it's going smooth. I've got a good group of people working for me. It's really getting a lot done. It's amazing, really, what they've done in the lobby area and everything too. So, but come over and take a look at it and get a chance. So, and also, we've almost got our training center completely done downstairs in the basement. We have a shooting house where they go in with the electronic guns, and it's act like it's real-time scenario. They used to call them fast machines, firearm training systems, but now we've got our own. We've got several guns we use, and you go in, you have to clear rooms. You go in, you're put in through scenarios. For shoot, don't shoot scenarios. We use it for taser training room. So what I plan on doing is happening when we get it completely done, is having an open house. I'd love for y'all to come down.
I'm trying to go by the taser in the head.
Yeah. But we also, something we've really got neat is that we've got a driving simulator. And you sit there, and it's a car, and you sit there and drive, and it's in a seat, and whenever you turn it, the seat throws you, it does everything exactly like you would be for real. So what our goal was is to be able to do every bit of our training downstairs in the basement whenever it's 15 below, when everybody else is hunkered at the coffee shop. We're going to be able to do our training downstairs with all of our folks. The only thing that we'll have to do outdoors now is our one time a year qualifying with our guns. Everything else will be able to be done downstairs in our basement. Another thing that we did down there too is we built a mock jail cell for training for our jailers to be able to go down and learn how to extricate people out of cells and just, you know, get the general feel where we can train down there with those folks. What I've got planned on doing is the ISA, Indiana Sheriff's Association, has a jailer school. So what I plan on doing is I'm wanting them to come down and use our facility for the training that they have. And it's anywhere from 25 to 30 people usually that's in those classes. It's new jailers. What they will do is they'll come and use our facilities, and hopefully we'll be able to get our people trained for free because it does cost money. And then if we can get 20 people into Scott County that's going to be needing motel rooms, food, and that kind of stuff, it will help out with our taxes and our economy too, hopefully in the long run. So, but before I do that, I'll come and get your all's permission after you, I want you to take a look at it and everything, so before we start doing that. Let's see here. Another thing real quick, Rumpke. And of course, I've been trying to go through the budget and I've aggravated Teresa absolutely to death. Amy's already knocked me out twice. So, what we're trying to do is trying to save money, so I'm trying to look for monies to save. We've found several already, you know, the laundry and all that kind of stuff. I just found another one, and I think probably the commissioners want to do it, and the right Tammy on the garbage.
Yeah, I think in the buyout, have you talked to the representative?
No, I have not yet.
And we can maybe get a time, we can maybe get her on a conference call or something
Okay.
and get those numbers nailed down, because they act as if we don't renew with them, then it's gonna be a particular amount of money to buy out, and I'm not so sure we
Well, I'm
have
not
to do
sure
that.
it's either, because I didn't sign the contract. So, and that was changed when the sheriff's changed, so we'll get it figured out. But the difference on it is this, we were using Rumpke. It was costing us $671.50 a month for Rumpke to come pick up our garbage, and we had to pay them to take our cardboard. So what I did was, I contacted Scottsburg City, and that's for one dumpster with Rumpke. They empty it 3 times a week. So what I did is I contacted Scottsburg City, I worked out a deal with them, that they will come, they will bring us actually 2 dumpsters. We don't have to pay for our cardboard to be taken away, because Baldwin is going to come and get that for us for free. And with 2 dumpsters, more capacity, and they're going to empty it 3 times a week also, the same as that, they told us that they would do it for $360 a month. So that's a pretty significant savings. And what we want to do is this, we've been doing this, and y'all have been putting the money into the budgets. Josh pays for it for half a year, and we were paying for it for half a year. So hopefully this will cut that down in half, you know what I'm saying? So that's just want y'all know what was going on with that too. So, the last thing that I have here, or next to the last thing, is we had a discussion with the State Board of Accounts on our undercover buy money. They tell me that I cannot use my commissary to do undercover buys with. So I don't know why, but they sent me the thing that says, let's see here. I said, because they sent us and said, hey, you can't be using your, you know, this. There's a fund set up in your county for undercover buy monies. You can't use your commissary to do it. So I said, well, I sent them back and I said, let's see. Several years ago, he said there was a push by the agency for them to have the counties adopt the ordinance, which we did. So when he responded back, and I told him, I said, we've been doing this to try to help out. We've got the monies available, and all that kind of stuff. Is it okay if we go ahead and keep doing what we're doing? And he said, since it is a fund created by the county, then the county would be responsible to keep it funded. If you see the funds are being depleted faster than you expect, then you would have to go to the council to request additional funding. You could use commissary funds and request reimbursement now. That's what we're doing now. But I think you would want to have the discussion in advance with the commissioners and also you guys to make sure they are in agreement before you do that. So here's what I plan on doing is, if you guys and girls think it's okay, what I can do is we can go ahead at the beginning of the year and I can donate $15,000 or $10,000 out of my commissary fund for direct buys with your all's approval. And then that'll cover it, and it'll be in there, and we'll be using that fund to do it. But we're making a donation out of it, and I can do that. I asked them if I could do that, and they said I could do that. What?
They gave you permission
Yeah,
to do it
yeah.
that way. That's what I was going to do last time.
They give you permission for this year?
Yes.
Because there is a fund, the fund that's set up for this year, you all approved, I think at 10,000 for this year, but there's no money in the fund. In other words, you approved the budget to be set up, but you didn't approve where the funding was going to come from. So there's 10,000 ready to go in appropriation, but we don't have it funded yet.
And he told me to make our, to come out right, that because we have that fund, that we would need to reimburse the commissary for monies that we've used. So what I think we can do is, and Teresa and Amy's been dealing with them, they can find out, I think I can make a donation again out of the commissary of $15,000, $10,000, whatever it is, and out of that donation then we can fund our account and then it won't have to be reimbursed, because actually now we're using it as a source of funding and, or commissary as a source of funding, if that makes sense. If I donate the monies, then it's just a donation, it won't be used as a steady source of income to fund that, because I'll be putting the monies over into that account. That's what I plan on doing, unless you all got a different, you know what I'm saying, scenario that you would like me to do. Is there anything?
Sounds good.
Leave it up to our auditor to have.
And that would be, I think, maybe before, maybe at our exit conference or whenever State Board of Accounts gets back in here, might be a good thing to just make sure that we all are there witnessing what they're telling us on regarding that fund. Would that be a good thing, Teresa, I think, to do? Because we want to make sure that they come in and our next group comes in, because we've had this happen before. One opinion will be this one year, and then the next year you'll have somebody roll in here and they change, either the state's changed their mind on something, or the next set of auditors is not consistent with what's been told to us in the prior year, so.
Or either what we could do is, we're still in contact with Chris.
Yes, we can
A
email
group
them and
email,
get this
so we'll
cleared
have
out.
something
Yeah.
in writing for
Okay.
future.
I made copies of this, you know, these emails too, so we can have it, so, you know, there would be no confusion. So I've got, you know, copies of that, and I'll give it to you, Jamie and Teresa,
Okay.
both, you know what I'm saying, so you'll have it, you'll know what it was
Sheriff,
that he said.
if I'm hearing you right, this is all about, could we have an ordinance?
Yes.
Could we not rescind that ordinance? And would they not let you start using your commissary then?
Well, we could probably do that, but down here it said that several years ago, there was a push by the State Board of Accounts to have counties adopt an ordinance on buy money under the home rule statute. All counties that created this ordinance need to follow the ordinance or not be in compliance. I know the original ordinance stated $1,000, which I'm sure is insufficient in today's time, so you will need to request the commissioners to increase the amount and update the ordinance accordingly and provide you the funding. They are responsible for providing you the funding under this ordinance. So it's whatever we can do that's the easiest, it doesn't matter, you know what I'm saying, so we can, whatever
We
you all
can
come
get
up with.
clarification from Chris on whether it can be rescinded, and we'll do it as a group. What do you think, Tim?
I think that's a good idea.
And it's
All
whatever.
right, next year they'll change their mind.
Yeah.
For several years, we have a line item in
Yeah.
the sheriff's budget that we would pay that dollar. I think it was Sheriff Eubanks came in and wanted it done differently, because they said it took too much time to try to turn a claim in here and get fine money. So that was when we changed it, so it's not been changed that long.
Well, it's whatever you all want me to do, and like I said, I've got the money to fund it, so. We're good.
We'll pull that ordinance
appreciate
and we'll see what the details are on that ordinance. And
Okay.
then we'll see if there's any wiggle room within that, and then we'll move forward with State Board of Accounts and make sure that we're not gonna get in trouble the next time we come around.
We're gonna take this to you,
Let them work it out.
let them work it out, and bring a solid word back to us.
That'd be perfect. What we need to do. Another thing too is I wanted to mention, we have got our evidence room done. Mike Nichols has done a yeoman's job of getting this thing completed. We've got several items that we can auction off, and we're ready to do it. So we've also found several items that we had actually returned to folks that was in the evidence that belonged to folks. We was able to return several items with that. Now what we have left, we already have a court order. We've already ran it in the newspaper if you were missing items to come and claim it. So we're at that point now where we can have an auction and sell these items out. So, of course, we've already got, I realize we got already got a line item for that sheriff's auction. So what I would like to do is just get your all's approval for us to be able to have an auction. And I think Bob Tobias was going to come over and tell us the best way to have one, if we need to keep it like just the sheriff's office only, because it's going to be like jewelry, you know, guns and those type of items, and there won't be any cars and, you know, big
It's gonna be an
things.
actual sheriff's office in another county.
If that's what you want me to do. I don't care, that's what I'm saying. It's whatever you want me to do. And then, of course, Bob said he was going to come over and give me the recommendations. But to my opinion, I think it would be better as a sheriff's auction, because it's gonna be targeting those folks who buy guns and not just a whole big general election. That's just my opinion. So if you all want to think about that and tell me, you know what I'm saying, how you want to do that, we can do it. I mean, I don't have to have it today, but if you want to do it for the next meeting, or we can do it today, it's totally up to you all.
Is that our decision or commissioner's decision?
Well, I think it's going to be theirs, but I'll always get you guys to
Yeah,
approve it.
yeah, definitely want to. I kind of think at the commission meeting, John, I think Bob kind of leaned towards having just the sheriff's office, so I would say the council would probably go along with whichever way the commissioner want to go. We just want to know.
Yeah, right, that's what I was going to ask you is this, because that's why I mentioned this line item. If we have the sheriff's auction, I don't care, I mean, it can go into the general budget, you know what I'm saying, if that's what, if we need money in the general budget, if you need money for doing, you know what I'm saying, like a reserve fund for, you know, something. If not, of course, we've got that sheriff's auction line item in our budget that those sheriff's auctions monies are supposed to go to. But like I said, you guys have been too good to me, so whatever we make on that, if you need the money,
As far as I'm concerned, you can go ahead and sheriff's line.
okay.
Yeah, I think they have a separate fund for that, and it's supposed to be.
It is,
spent
yeah.
On the sheriff's department for training and different things you need.
If it were things being sold that was purchased from general fund, like a vehicle, that money is supposed to go back into general fund. But for things like the things you get free from
Right.
military
Receipts and stuff.
or this kind of thing, you can put in a separate fund. That's why that other one was set up.
Yeah, so this is all going to be seized items and or abandoned items, the same. Right. And then John, we'll get that when Bob, since Bob comes over and figures out what he thinks is the best, we'll go ahead and do that.
Yeah, whatever way works, fine,
We've been using the John Jones building. We got some stuff down that we're going to be moving back. We moved a bunch of stuff down there because it was going to be in the auction, of course, so we're going to be moving some of that stuff back. We've had our vehicles down there, our pool cars down there too, because we had the tent set up. So we're going to be taking the tent down, so we're moving all of our pool cars back up here, have them accessible. But we've been using that back bay to store some of our stuff in. And actually, they had, Sheriff McLean had actually had gotten permission for that years ago. We've been going ahead and doing that. So what I did was I made contact with Michelle, and I told her to submit to me a bill for the extra electric, water, so whatever it is, you know, that's above and beyond what the health department's been paying, so that it don't put a burden on their budget. So she submitted that, and I think it was $700 or something total for like several months. So I told Amy to go ahead and pay that out of our commissary, and Teresa knows that too. So we'll go ahead and pay that, if that's okay.
Yeah, or either out of your utilities.
Utilities thing, whatever is easiest for you, for us to do, you just let me know, we'll get a throw at it, so we'll do that.
Yeah.
So we got some stuff going on there, okay? One thing that I would like to do, and I just want to throw this out, because again, I am transparent with everything. We have made some significant leaps and bounds in our commissary monies, and we've been using those for a lot of stuff. What I want to throw out to you all is this, and of course, I haven't mentioned it to the commissioner, but John's here because we just talked about this. We have 3 vehicles that were purchased, that were used vehicles that the former sheriff purchased, where we had crashes, and those actually had loans on them for new cars. And I'm not questioning anything that happened, that's going to pass, I don't care, it's going to be a deal. But what I want to do is that I don't like to use those monies that you all have appropriated for me for new cars to pay for used cars, if that makes sense. What I want to do is I'm going to try probably to take the monies out of the commissary and pay these cars off, and then continue to get that funding and go ahead and get 3 new cars like we're supposed to have. And it won't be any extra burden on you all, because I'll be paying off the vehicles that's being paid now out of the commissary. Just kind of a heads up, and I'll come back with a complete plan, but I just want to throw that out now just to give you a heads up on it, you know what I'm saying, something we're looking at, because if it's something you don't want me to do, you know what I'm saying, then obviously, you know what, I'm going to waste my time on it. You know what I'm saying, putting it together. But I think we can do it because we've already got permission to have vehicles out of commissary, and it's not going to be anything added to to what you're already giving the other people. Is that right, Teresa, on that? So yeah. So if you don't have any objections on that, then the next meeting with the commissioners, I will probably float that plan to them on what we want to do.
So how many cars does that make you now?
We've got around, I've got a list of them, here. I have to keep a list. Yeah, I got a list of every one of our cars. We have total cars of 39. That's including pool cars, transport, and reserve vehicles. So we've got 39 right now, but we've actually got more than that, because what we've got is Austin gave us 3 cars, 3 Crown Victoria cars that we've got sitting, that they're not licensed or anything, they're just reserve cars, they're just there for our reserve in case we have 2 or 3 cars go down or some tragedy happens that we have to have vehicles, and we've got them. One thing that when we came in, of course, we didn't have any vehicles. Whenever, like the deputies was, whenever their cars would break down, they had to get in the cars with another deputy because there wasn't enough pool cars, enough cars to be able to do the fleet. We have raised the number of cars. We got 239, where now we have, I think it's 3 pool cars for officers in case their cars break down, and we have 5 pool cars for reserves to be able to come out and work. And we've paid for that every bit through our extra funds that we've had available. So none of that's come out of the budget or anything. So
is there any of those that you've gotten rid of, or you need them all?
well, no, actually what we were going to do was we was going to take and trade some of the, here's the goal on it is to get rid of the Chargers. Because of the type of policing we do, Dodge Chargers are perfect for the city police because they don't go on county roads, they don't go down creeks, they don't go places we have to go. So what our plan is to eliminate those Chargers by replacing them with pickup trucks and Durangos, because those are heavier duty and they set up higher, that type of thing. So what we would probably do is we would look at trading in some of those Chargers for, you know what I'm saying, to get the trucks. However, I will say this, I'm gonna look at the trade-in on it, because if they only wanna give us $2,000 for a Charger, I ain't gonna do that. I'm not giving it to them, you know.
Right.
So I'm gonna do whatever the best bang for the buck is, because I think what we could probably do is we could probably sell those to another police agency, another sheriff's department, and we could get more money out of them that way. So I'm not just gonna trade them in just for the sake of trading them in. We're gonna get the best bang for the buck. And obviously I'll let you guys know what that will be at a meeting or whatever, so I'll give you the differences and show you where we're at on it. So if you don't have any objections, I'm gonna go ahead and try to put that plan together.
As long as the commissioners are good with it.
Yeah, they'll be notified. Let's see here. I think that's it for me.
Sheriff, I got a question on the pension plan. I've heard that there's going to be a riverboat guarantee money. Is that going to put that plan in any kind of jeopardy?
Well, that's obviously going to affect us. I've not heard that. Of course, I've not been privy to the meetings that you had, you know what I'm saying? We've not heard that, and as a matter of fact, I'm not sure that the legislators will let that happen and see what happens, because that was what part of that riverboat funding, that was what it was designed for, was for police pensions in the law, I think. So, but yeah, that's unfortunately, if that does happen, then the county will have to pick up a larger share, percentage of that. So hopefully it don't happen. It shouldn't happen. But then again, you know what I'm saying, we know how things can happen.
Right.
So,
Well, now, the governor said that the first $33 million that comes in from the riverboat is going to be shared with the counties.
Good.
So it could make it that way. Yeah, so we would get a portion, and I heard they was going to divide it up by population. So,
that happened.
yeah,
So, that'll be time.
yeah, well,
And also on our COVID monies, we've been keeping, obviously, tab of the stuff we're spending for COVID-related items. And I think we're up to about $41,000. I think, is that about right, Amy?
Well, to piggyback on your COVID, I was gonna add to, Teresa and I attended a video conference this week regarding the CARES Act and COVID reimbursements. And I was going to make sure, I mean, your thermometers, the changes, the no contact commissary payment area that you created, your thermometers, your courtrooms that are divided into now your video conferencing, anything related remotely to COVID that you had to change the aesthetics of your building, your operations, any of your additional labor that you can attribute to extra cleaning and whatnot that's had to be done. We're going to be crying out to the departments to give us a concise list, and then we'll have claims and things to shore that up with, because Teresa and I would really like to, after July 31st, we'd like to turn our first submittal to the state to tap into that money. So we're going to be working on this pretty soon.
Okay, good. And we've been keeping since day one. We've got an actual detailed list with receipts and everything that we've done. One thing that we did submit, and it is directly related to COVID, so we'll see what happens, is that we got rid of 9 prisoners from Jefferson County that were paying us to keep their prisoners, which ended up being about $10,000 to $12,000 a month that Jefferson County was paying us. So what we did is we've got that in a separate thing, not including the $41,000. We're going to be submitting that too, because the reason why we had to ship these prisoners out was because of COVID. And that is helping us operate our jail facility by keeping those. So we're going to try to submit that and see if we can get it instead of, you know what I'm saying, what has happened.
They'll be lucky, because I think one of the things was they weren't going to shore up lost revenue, and that would be lost revenue.
So the Riverboat funds, if we would lose that, we couldn't claim that that was COVID related and ask for the difference that we normally get. And I'm like I would lean on the side that I'm very skeptical if they will approve that. We also asked one of the AIC representatives prior to this video conference whether they would kind of pre-approve projects, so we're like, if you got into a little bit of a construction issue where it's a little bit more expensive, would they go ahead and give us a blessing and then we know to proceed? So if you do, any departments get into anything, especially the commissioners because they're on buildings, you get into a situation, you need to make sure that the funding is there, and then hopefully you'll get that back. It's one of those, make sure that you've got a backup plan to pay for it should it fall through with the reimbursement.
We're on top of it, I think, so we'll see what happens.
And that sounds good. It sounds like you've got a lot of qualifying things by what we saw on that list. You know.
Well, Sheriff, when you say you had 9 prisoners because of COVID, that they didn't have COVID, right?
No, they did not. No. What happened was this. We was housing prisoners for Jefferson County, so we had 10 of them, and we had to reduce the numbers in the jail, and the reason why we were, because of the COVID, that's why they reduced, like we
Before
had.
River gets out, we had 9.
Absolutely no COVID. No COVID yet. We're good.
We are COVID free in jail.
Absolutely. As of today.
As of
today.
You've done great keeping that out of jail.
Well, we've been able to do it because of the fact of the changes that we've been able to make. But the commissioners, you know what I'm saying, Bob and John allow me to do things, and so we've been lucky, you know, to be able to do those changes, and so it's been a group effort. I mean, it ain't been no one thing, it's been everybody, and of course I've, you know, done money off you guys a lot for stuff too, so.
Sheriff, you did an excellent job. We appreciate all the good things that's going on in the jail and the sheriff's department. Mr. Jones, I don't leave you out.
I'm sorry?
You got anything you want to ask the sheriff or say to the sheriff?
Well, I would remind Sheriff, we're due a report, commissary report, are we not?
Yeah, that'll be the next meeting you have.
Next meeting, we'll have that.
Yeah,
Oh,
the last one.
the other comment I would have, and I don't hear everything that's being said, so I apologize for that. But I heard a lot of talk about commissary, and if there was a transaction that's ongoing, you know, the council can approve that, like.
Frozen.
We lost you, right? I don't know what to do.
Proof of some of those things, if that's appropriate. Like I say, I don't hear everything as well as I should, but I would just.
think he's saying anything you have that's on go and
Go ahead.
Safety,
get our.
safety happen to us. So, that's all I would have, Mr. President. Thank you.
Thank you, Aaron.
Thank you, buddy. And I've got that list of stuff that y'all have already, you know what I'm saying, funded for me, so and I think we're in pretty good shape on that. And one of the things that I think maybe we can get by with on the State Board of Accounts is that you give me permission to use in that original uses that I asked for, you gave me to use. So I'm hoping that'll help us out.
Yeah, I'd like to look at that State Board of Accounts stuff, at some time when I can, just out of my own edification if I could. Thank you.
Yeah, but we could email it to you. I can have Amy email it to you if you want to do that, so you don't have to worry about, you know what I'm saying, you know what I'm saying, having to get out or anything.
We're good to it.
I appreciate that.
That's all I got.
All you got? Anybody got anything for the sheriff?
Thanks, Sheriff.
No, thank you. You're doing an awesome job.
Which, it's not me, it's all the crew I got. I got a heck of a crew, and I appreciate that.
Yes, you do.
Thank you.
Well,
Bye, guys.
Thank you, Sheriff.
Okay, next on the agenda is the Scott County Board of Zoning Appeals Board appointment. Marty, is that you?
Slowly I walk.
Talk to us, Lois.
Well,
you have a nickname for everybody,
I think gentlemen and ladies, we have a 5-man Board of Zoning Appeals. The gentleman that you had originally appointed back in, I believe it was July of 2018, when the Board of Zoning Appeals was reorganized to only deal with county matters, was a gentleman named Wayne Michael Smith, who lives out here on West 56. He did come to several meetings back when I first started in, let's see, I guess that was September of 2018 when I first started with the Board of Zoning Appeals and the Planning Commission. Unfortunately, he told me at one time, he says he works for the city of Louisville, and they were in all those sanitation projects, the big ones that they were doing down there. And he told me, he says, you know, I won't be able to come to a lot of these meetings because when they tell me I have to stay or I have to go, I've got to do it. And so I believe he really tried his best to come, but I have not seen him since last September. And I have faithfully, you know, if they had a meeting scheduled or if we had minutes or if I had something to tell them, I would send him the information via email as I did the others. And I never got a response from him. And so we simply feel like we need to move on. And I don't know if this would require a motion by you all to remove him from the Board of Zoning Appeals as your representative. But we do need someone there that's willing to serve. We've got 4 active members now. We had to replace another gentleman, the commissioners did, because Bill Banta got a new job with the Georgetown Fire Department, and so he has left town now, so commissioners did replace him. So we've got 4 members, but we would really like to have 5.
Can it be a elected official, can it be a council person?
No. And I'm going by what Mike Smith is what he went by. He was a member of the public, so I am assuming that it would have to be another member of the public that you would have to appoint.
I kind of thought that. On whether we would have to motion to remove him, our attorney is upstairs, and we'll hopefully be back before this meeting's over. We can address that with him.
Okay.
If he has some opinion
All right.
If it says yes, we will take the vote. But we can go ahead, if anybody's got anybody they want to nominate, let you know, might be interested.
Do you have any suggestions?
I do not, I'm sorry. I asked the Board of Zoning Appeals, that's Gary Green, Greg Gibson,
Does
Uh,
it
beg your pardon?
pay, does it pay?
It does. It pays $250 every 6 months.
I've got someone that I would need to have, but it's someone that does have some experience with the zoning board, and that would be Jim Boston.
He used to be on.
Oh, yes.
As, yeah, so he
Yeah, I
knows.
think he's on.
Yeah, when he was serving.
Yeah, so he has experience.
And we would like to have some, because we anticipate maybe a couple of new subdivisions being developed in the next few years. There's a real push right now to try to find more housing here in the county. And so I would be delighted to see somebody with some experience.
I will personally contact Jim Boston
Okay.
myself. Anybody got anybody else?
Who you said was Mike? I didn't hear who you said.
I'm sorry.
Who was it? I didn't hear. who you
Jim
said.
Boswell.
Oh, okay.
Jim was the county surveyor at one time. He's been on the
Yeah.
zoning board, so he has plenty of experience. And I would love to see him on, and I would encourage him to accept one appointment. When they will.
Besides Gary and Greg, who's the other two?
Jared Solomon, Kelly's son-in-law, and John Hauser. I mean, we've been able to conduct our business, but at times we were down to 3 people coming because Bill, left. And you have 4, you could tie 2-2 against, but generally, we don't have big issues that come before the Board of Zoning Appeals, although last time they met, we were going to have a hearing over a variance that a gentleman wanted to put in a crematory close to Lexington. And that applicant did not come to the meeting, and so his application was rejected. And I talked to him later, and he said he figured he wasn't going to get it, so he decided not to come. So, but, that's the biggest thing. But what worries us is, we're going to have more and more demands on the Board of Zoning Appeals, I feel like, and the Planning Commission in coming months, and there will be some decisions. Yes.
So, we'll leave it this way. If anyone else on the council has anyone that they think might be interested, I suggest contact them, ask them, and if we have more than one applicant, we'll just have to vote. Hopefully by this time next month, we'll be able to get you the board.
That would be wonderful. And I appreciate your attention. Thank you much.
Next on the agenda is the clerk, Carrie Frank.
Good morning, everyone. Okay, so I would like to apply for this CARES grant. It's not the same one that the county got. This one comes directly from the Secretary of State in the Indiana Election Division. It's to cover any extra expenses that I didn't foresee coming, like I bought extra virus protection kits, and I bought those before the Secretary of State sent us a bunch of PPE. I also bought like 3 different sets of paper towels because part of the PPE that the Secretary of State sent me was microfiber towels, and I thought once they spray the cleaner on those to clean the DREs or the pill pads, it was kind of cross-contamination, so that's why I bought the paper towel. So once they locked it down, then they could dispose of it and get rid of it. And then I bought some hand sanitizer. All of that came to a total of $1,373. This grant is due July 31st, so I just wanted to get your guys' approval so I can apply for that.
Move to approve.
Second.
The motion is second to approve grant loan, and then figured again, we're about $1,373.
1,373, yes.
And then motion, again, second. Any questions or discussion on the motion? All in favor? Mr. Jones?
I vote aye, thank you.
Thank you, Raymond.
Carried 7-0. Thanks, Raymond.
All right, thank you guys, I appreciate it.
Next on the agenda is the drainage transfer. You know what, before we do that, let me ask, Mike, Carter, you want to come up so you can hear me and I can hear you? Thank you. Marty has a situation. There it is.
Yeah.
You know how to be aware of it?
I've already read it.
Okay, we need to know if we need to take a vote to remove Mr. Smith.
I would, just for the record.
Okay.
Motion to remove.
I would make the motion to remove Mr. Smith from the board. Do a second. Rachel seconds. Any questions or discussion? All in favor? Mr. Jones?
Excuse me.
I vote aye, thank you.
Motion carries 7-0.
Would this be made a part of the record?
Okay.
Because I need to send him an application.
Yeah. Thanks, Mark.
You're welcome. Thank you, sir. Good job, Mark.
That wasn't too hard.
Now we're up to the drainage board transfer, Teresa, Tammy.
The Drainage Board, again, has been involved in some debris removal along connections where channels intersect in the Scattertug River. And the highway crews provided the labor, so to speak, on that. And then there's no equipment line or equipment maintenance line in Drainage Board, but we had to buy some supplies. We had to add some oil and do some odds and things. I had a letter transfer request last month and you approved it as well. But we've had additional bills that have came in regarding that expense, and we're asking you just keep it within the same budget, move $840 from legal fees down to the supplies line that you created last meeting, so we can pay those bills that are associated with that. We're not asking for anything extra, just to move money around a little bit in that budget.
Move to approve.
I'll say it.
Thank you.
A motion second to approve the $840 from line item 3001 legal attorney to 7100 supplies. Any more questions or discussion? All in favor?
And just to add to that,
Vote aye.
Thank you, Ray.
we had a Drainage Board meeting last night. Don't be surprised if you don't see an application or two coming in the future. They've had a meeting recently. Members of the Drainage Board have met with DNR. Obviously, they're finding out some things that I guess DNR has talked more openly recently about allowances that they'll make, working along the tributaries. As long as you're not down in the channel, you can reach in and pull things out. You don't need a permit to do that. So they're going to try to, John Mead was there, our attorney, and he's going to check out some channel with the Corps and whatnot to make sure, as long as you don't get in the channel, I think they think they're okay. And there's a new initiative out there for grants called Lake and River Enhancements. They call it LAIR. And there's money available. They were given the impression by DNR that there's money that has just sat there because they didn't even have one applicant for this money. If Soil and Water partners with the Drainage Board and they work in conjunction, the Soil and Water might be able to apply for monies as well as the Drainage Board, and they can, they'll allow two in a region, an area, to get funds from these type of grants. So we're gonna be contacting River Hills, trying to work with them. There could be as much as between Soil and Water and the county drainage board, a $40,000 stash just sitting there right now, which would greatly help the efforts to try to get, because their ultimate goal, and you guys know from that study, some of you were on the board a few years ago, that there was a lot of work that needs to be done on Stucker Fork because over the years it's silted back in. Sediment and the channel has obviously changed shape. The depth is different. And Stucker Fork, I know from taxation, it drains 2/3 of the county because we have a water conservancy tax on those watersheds over 2/3 of our constituents. So, not to get back into too much history, but our drainage board has, I know because I've been with them since 2004, have diligently tried to address the issues, but maybe they feel like they've actually had better conversation in the past few weeks than they've ever had with the DNR and openness about it. So we might be moving in the right direction at this point. So you'll hear more later, but there is applications that we can make probably here in the very, very near future and hopefully get some money rolling in. That's that date on it.
Thank you.
So thank you very much for moving this money here.
Next on the agenda, county government security transfer.
This is just housekeeping. When the budget was approved last year, you all approved it in the line for the contractual services for the ISP. I just need to move that up to the jailer line item because we switched from contractual to paying the jailers for the security in the courthouse.
Motion to
Motion.
have moved.
Second.
Donnie second. Any questions or discussion? All in favor? Mr. Jones?
I vote aye, thank you.
7-0. Ratification of line item 12106, EMS, emergency comm, third truck, COVID-19.
After discussion between Amy and myself and Mike, we talked about for the tracking mechanism to get some reimbursement for COVID expenditures. We're asking that you all approve the ratification of line item that I set up because we started this at the last payroll, not this one, but the last one, to track expenditures on the third truck due to COVID. So it is line 12106, emergency comp, EMS third truck, COVID is what I named it for tracking purposes. So with your approval to ratify that, we've got that in place.
Move to approve.
Robert moved, I have a second. Any questions or discussion on this one? All in favor? Raymond? He's got his hand up. Very good. Motion carries 7-0.
And just so to let you know too, is this is not any extra appropriation. What we'll do is transfer money from line items to cover that.
Okay, next on the agenda is the pandemic emergency operations policy. I think we've all had a chance to look at that. Any questions or discussion, anything you want to change, look at, talk about? Raymond, you okay with it?
I tell you, I've looked at that document, read it almost cover to cover, and it's one of the best productions that I've seen. My compliments to whoever worked on that, and I would be I'd be privileged to motion to approve.
That would be Tammy that wrote that.
That would be Tammy, the auditor, who wrote that.
Thank you, Raymond. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
I agree wholeheartedly, it's one of the best documents I've seen also concerning this. Looks to me like it covers most all the bases I can think of. We have a motion by Raymond, is anybody second
I'll say,
that? I'm a second. Again, any more questions or discussion?
now this will be copied and given not just to department heads, but each employee.
We can do that because
I think that would be a good idea, that way everyone knows for sure.
Yeah,
Yes.
no question.
we can do that, because I have learned that some of the things that I disseminate to department heads are not readily passed down to their staff members. And then I have staff members, which is okay, I don't mind that, contacting me directly when you feel like the channel ought to be supervisor to department member. So I agree, Iva, thank you.
Not only for that reason, this is an addition to the handbook,
Yes.
and so most employees have seen the handbook, but they need to see this also, since it's an addition to the handbook.
And this is in effect through December 31st, but should there be a need to move past that, and I'm not so sure we won't have that need. Viruses just don't cut off at the end, they don't have fiscal years. So I think this might be something that moves forward that you may have to amend and extend the date in
I
2021.
believe that probably one of the first things we need to do in January would be to reapprove this for the year 2021.
And just a little update on, I've had a conversation with Addie Rooker at Wagner, Irwin & Shealy Consultants. And the up to 80 hours that your workers get, should they be off to a related COVID issue, whether it be we have gone into quarantine as a whole, or we've gone into isolation or self-quarantine due to a possible exposure or a confirmed exposure. I confer, I talked to Michelle, we had a situation yesterday, I confer with her to make sure that I'm reacting properly to that person and helping them get through this. But it is an up to 80-hour, basically rolling total. That ordinance that you all adopted, that's part of this policy, that went from April the 2nd to December 31st for those federal emergency family medical leave and emergency sick leave acts. That covers them for that up to 80. For example, we work 70 hours in our department. Our hours would be 2 weeks, which would be 70 hours. And that's a rolling total. I've got somebody right now who's potentially going to use 32 of that 80. That's something that we'll mark on the payroll sheets and track because they've got the balance between now and the end of the year should they have another situation. Michelle has reached out, I believe, to the Board of Commissioners. She informed me yesterday that she's asking, what are we going to do when school starts? I mean, we could be in and out of people who have school-age children being exposed and not exposed because we're talking about a living situation, not just maybe coming to work for a day. So, again, we may be adding pages to this, depending on what rolls out, because if school does start up, we could have parents that could be exposed to children who may come in and out of this, and we'll try our best, because after that 80 hours is gone, up to 80 hours, they'll be looking at benefit time. So I think John Lisenby, a couple meetings we had, advised people, hang on to your benefit time, be very tedious with it and very frugal, because you might be needing it, I mean, especially if you've got school-aged children. So, just that little bit more on that. But thank you guys very much, I appreciate it.
Did we finish?
I don't think we voted.
I'm sorry?
We didn't take a vote.
Oh, we didn't take a vote. Okay, we have motion second on the pandemic emergency operations policy. All in favor? Mr. Jones?
I vote aye, thank you.
Motion carried 7-0. Thank you guys for keeping me awake. Next on the agenda is the 2021 budget hearing schedule, budget adoption hearing.
I put calendars in each of your packets from August to November. I'm going to ask that we keep the public hearing August 11th. That's your all-day meeting unless you change that date. That's your regular schedule, that would be your all-day meeting. After that, I'm asking you to give me a little bit more time to confirm with the state on the deadline to to adopt. And my suggestion for council is to do it as late as possible. That'll give us time to work with the state on the revenues and what we think is gonna happen. The closer, the longer we can wait till the deadline, the better I think we'll have a handle on what we're gonna expect for next year. So even if we can go into November, I think at this point, November 1st is the deadline, but I want to confirm that with the state. So if not, if you look at October, at the calendar in October, we probably should pick a date now for as late as we can in October. And if we can push it out even into November, that would be good. So if everybody had a tentative date in October to give me, so that I can at least put that on Gateway. At first though, is August 11th, okay, for the all-day
Yeah.
meeting?
Everybody, well, it's the regular meeting then, so. yeah,
It's the regular meeting, but you're gonna go from
11 in October.
8:30 to 4:30 or whatever time.
So,
The August 11th meeting, you want to start at 8:30 or do you want to go
that's pretty nice.
9? And that'll put you till about 4:30 to 5.
People come in and they communicate and all that stuff, not all that stuff.
Okay. In October, does anybody have a preference of days? And again, you'll do 2 full days of discussion and then a half day of adoption, unless you want that changed.
So could we do 28th, 29th, and 30th?
Everybody okay with that?
October.
How about 27, 28, 29, leave Friday? In October, I divide, we're all healthy and all that, a lot of people like to travel. 27, 28, 29, all right, everybody. Brandon? October 27, 28, 29, okay with you?
As far as I can tell, at this point, yes.
Okay.
How about November? Is there, if we can go past, is there a date?
So if November 1st is not, you've got to have a decision sometime, not too far after, right?
Right.
Because we have to have it.
Yeah, again, I can check, by August we'll know.
What day is November 1st on?
November 1st is a Sunday, so it would be November 2nd.
According to the calendar, you got Monday.
Yeah.
About Monday.
Yeah, you can do it.
When's the election day?
November 3rd.
3rd? So.
Let's do this, let's keep the August, and then I'll email all of
We'll
you.
decide in August
Yeah.
when we're gonna do the rest of it.
Yeah.
The only thing, Jack, we're gonna come to Jack Clinton, the AIC lady that we hired, was gonna come to the August all-day meeting, and she also was gonna come to our budget adoption meetings. And I think we indicated it would be probably 11th of August, but then we indicated, I think, probably September. So, and it doesn't matter to us whether she be here or not, we'd like to have her here.
Right, I can check with
As soon
her.
as we decide, we need to let her know,
Yeah.
since she keeps those dates open and all.
Yeah.
Just one mention to you guys, I just kind of looked at September's as I was scrolling through here. And September, our Labor Day is really late this year, it's the 7th.
Yeah.
Is anybody traveling out of town that week? Because your meeting is the 8th. That's the day after Labor Day. Has anybody got a conflict with that? Just wanted to just bring that up because that is a day after a holiday, so. And it's the last big travel kind of.
Yeah, we talked about that, I'd be in favor of moving it to the 3rd Tuesday, the 15th, if everyone's good with that. And the other reason, one of the other reasons is too, it's kind of hard to So does anybody have any objections to making our regularly scheduled September meeting on September the 15th? Is that okay with everybody? Okay, so make note of that. Our September 2020 council meeting will be September the 15th at 9:30 a.m. Hope to see you all then. And we'll decide in August, after they find out what the deadline is, when we're going to do our adoption. Okay. We done with that, Teresa?
Yep, that's it.
Consideration of minutes. What's the date on those?
We've got May the 12th. We had a regular and a joint commissioners meeting with you all, and I want to say May the 22nd. So you have two from May the 12th and one from May the 22nd.
Two from May 12th.
And commissioners have already seen the joint meeting from the 12th and the 22nd and approved those already.
Everybody had a chance to look those?
Move to approve.
I have moved to approve. You have a second? So I'll second. Donnie second. Any questions or discussion, any changes? All in favor? Let you go.
Oh, yes, thank you.
Okay, motion carries 7-0. Anybody got anything else? Danny, do you want to address the council about something?
If we discuss, was there any discussion about?
No, I'm waiting until, yes, the end of the meeting.
Yeah, come forward if you got something to discuss, but we can't take any action because it wasn't on the agenda.
I really wasn't expecting to be part of the meeting. I know the commissioners moved and approved for my pay scale to be bumped up to the director and to another percent. And I had a question about our third truck. I talked to Tammy earlier. I have 2 full-time people already that would like to work that truck, the peak truck. I do have interest in the spots that are left open by those 2 employees doing 24/48s. The sticking point, and I'm sure it's going to be with anybody I talk to, is just the longevity of it. It's hard to recruit full-time people if I say we have to revisit this in January. So I was looking for some guidance on, what I can.
Told in a joint session.
Well, we talked about that though. If you hire 2 more full-time people, then we can absorb them in and help take some of the extra overtime hours off of your other crew.
I was not aware that it was official. And I apologize.
That's what we had talked about.
So I can relay that guarantee to.
Well, basically where we are on Danny is this. We did discuss at that meeting, and we thought that probably the service would be able to absorb 2 full-time employees, maybe get rid of some overtime or part-time employees, but it's basically going to be up to the new director. The council approved to the end of the year because of COVID, because the commissioners asked to do it that way. We went along with their recommendation. But every employee that works for the county, almost, is subject to budgetary requirements.
Yes.
Meaning, we don't know if we have to cut a budget, the highway department might have to lay off people, the health department might have to, the courthouse might have to, so. To that point, we intend to take the advice of the new director. If they think third truck is still feasible and still desirable, then yes, we do our very best on trying to keep the third truck. It's just, I mean, there's just no guarantee to anyone. But after the first year, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and I'm just looking for clarification.
Yeah.
So I can, people can make an informed decision.
Right. But, I would have to basically say, it's hard for us to guarantee anything until we get a new director and find out what they want to do. As far as I know, this is the first time we ever had a third truck. Is that correct?
Yes.
So we're in new territory. And a new director may come in and not see the need for the third truck. And I mean, I just have no guarantee answer to give you other than the discussion at this joint meeting was that if possible, the service would absorb the two employees if the third truck is on the way. So that's about as close as I can come to guaranteeing employment, is to say that we have every intention of keeping those two employees if at all possible.
Very good.
And that's it. Raymond, you're our representative on the email.
Well, I've not heard anything about, third truck. The oversight committee has not heard anything about third truck. I understand it's been approved by everybody, so I'm supportive of it. I would just say to the folks there that if you're concerned about it going beyond the end of the year, then you folks buckle down, make it work, make it show us that it's viable and necessary, and that it should continue by the work that you've done, then you have no worry. So yeah, I'm supportive of it. It's been approved, but I've heard more about it here this morning than I've heard previously. So I don't really have a whole lot to add except make it work.
Thanks,
Sir. Has the hiring process started, John, on the new director?
Yes, the posting actually closes Friday, I believe, on
Okay.
the new director's position.
Right.
EMA 911 just closed last Friday. So, again, in the middle of all this other, we had two major departments that are majorly involved in emergency services. We've lost directors in both spots, so to speak. So it was, we're kind of going through either growing pains or regrouping or something. But for the second time, both those jobs have been posted. And we've reached out a broader scope, even than what we did the first round, as far as advertising and social media outlets and that type of thing. But it will close this Friday.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Danny, I'm sorry I can't give you a more concrete answer. It's just the best we can do is we discuss the commissioner council joint session. It was discussed
I'm just making sure I'm on the same page.
that we would try to absorb those employees that are done away with. Again, I'm sorry I can't give you that. That's the best I can do.
That's good enough. That needs me something working.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Dave.
I'd like to say Danny's really trying. You're working 3 different jobs now, Danny, at the EMS, is that correct?
Yeah, I'm doing the director, the deputy director, and the training officer job.
So he stepped it up, because people need to know that.
Thank you.
Yeah, we're very appreciative.
Thank you, Danny.
But we had a couple of Raymond and Ad, both were unable to attend the joint session and discuss thoroughly. That meeting, I believe, is on YouTube and probably Facebook if anyone wants to go watch the discussion. We kicked it around pretty good, and that was what the commissioners recommended. The money was available till the end of the year, so it wasn't, borrowing Peter to pay Paul or anything like that. And we did approve it, and now it's up to, and the new director, I think, is going to be the answer to this whole thing. I agree. That's where we're at with that.
I'd like to make a motion that we add to the agenda the EMS interim director's pay and get it done today.
And also, there was a question too about the EMA and the same one. It's a dual purpose letter, but if it's just the one she wants to do, that's fine. I just wanted to say that letter has both positions.
Yeah, 911.
Okay,
Yes.
I'll change that motion to say E911 and EMA interim.
Thank you, Bob.
I'll second. Did we already second?
You have a second? Oh, right, Rachel, you second? I'm sorry. We have a motion and a second. Any questions or discussion? All in favor? Mr. Jones?
I'm sorry, what's the motion again?
It is to, it's to boost the E911 and EMA interim pay up to the director's pay. And it's to be effective April the 19th. And then the interim EMS director to be compensated at the rate of the director until the director is put in place.
Did you hear it, Ray?
Yeah, okay.
Basically, we're just adjusting those two salaries up to what the director made. Because we got interim directors in place that are not making that amount of money.
Okay.
Yeah, kill the positions filled. You have any questions, Raymond?
Yeah, okay.
We good? Okay. Any questions from anyone here? All in favor? Mr. Jones?
Vote aye.
Motion carried, 7-0.
Thank you.
Good. Anything else from the council this time? Josh?
I'd just like to thank you all for allowing me to attend by Skype. I know Andrew had a little trouble with me this morning on Outlook. I couldn't understand that, but we got that cleared away. Anyway, I really appreciate the effort of everybody. It's been okay with me, except the audio on you guys' end, and that's probably because of the mask. But no problem. I just appreciate the opportunity to participate like this. Thank you.
You're welcome, Raymond. You're looking well.
Thank you. Feeling good today. Thank you very much. And hello to everybody. And again, I appreciate the effort on everybody's part to allow me to participate like this. I appreciate it, really.
Feel free to call me if you have any questions or anything you didn't hear.
Yeah, like I said, the only problem I have is with the audio, and I think it's probably the mask.
Thanks. We got one more person here at the table. Josh, got something he wants to talk to us about.
So I spoke with Tammy and with Teresa, and I have spoken with a few of the commissioners. I haven't had a chance to speak with John, but we have talked in the past on vehicles for maintenance, IT, and building inspector. It's just bringing it to your guys' attention and getting kind of maybe a insight from you guys on what we should do. But the county truck that I was driving, is blown up. I didn't even get to drive it about a week, and it was done. The rods are everywhere. But I have gotten with like just local. I was asked to try to get used vehicles, but it's hard to find used vehicles without high miles that cost $3 grand less than a new vehicle. So I did reach out to a couple different dealerships. I don't know if this is even an option or if it's going to work, but I did get some leases, and I just wanted to. I didn't get to make any copies of them, but I just kind of want to get insight from you guys on what you think the route or what you think we should do as in vehicles. I know what I'm going to get with Tammy and Teresa on the budgets and find out how we can do it. But the best options, besides I got to thinking about Ben, is leasing, because you can buy one a year, basically, on how it works out. But Ben's, because he probably drives more miles than we do. I'm using mileage right now. I was told to jot down my mileage of what I do, and Ben does the same thing as well. Andrew doesn't, and he should be, because he's out of it. But me and Andrew's 24/7. We're on call 24/7. So I just wanted to get an insight from you guys on what you think we should do.
I thought we was gonna do something like take all 3 vehicles and look at it. We might get a savings by buying 3 at one time.
And that was one of them through a local dealership. So there was, we could get one of the ProMasters and 2 trucks, because Ben goes into some sketchy places as well. And then I have to have something, I don't care if it's an SUV, but I have to have something that can tow a trailer.
Largely what we were looking at, depends on whether you was gonna look to see what kind of money was available.
Right.
And we're gonna make decisions depending on how much money we've got. If we've got money for new, we'll consider that. If we don't, we'll consider used. And we still are not done with the sheriff's possibility of getting some vehicles from the military. And I'm not talking Army, I'm talking Army vehicles, administrative vehicles. They may have some. So he's still looking, the sheriff is, but that may not be an option for this. But I have to agree, they all 3 need something. Ben's out there driving around the road, and nobody knows who he is, and he goes up to somebody's house and talks to them about these issues, and they're like, who are you? He doesn't have a radio, he doesn't have a vehicle. I think it's kind of dangerous for him. And Andrew and Josh here's got to have one too. I think they're carrying all kinds of stuff, county equipment around. And, so whether it's new or used is we just have to see what money's available and see what we get from the military.
I thought we had talked about Ben, especially to have the 4-wheel drive.
Yeah, and that's what all of them are, except for Andrew's is more of like one. It's not a Transit. It's a ProMaster, which is like an SUV van looking thing. And you can, because if you've ever seen his vehicle, it's full of computers.
I don't know how he gets them in and out. That would be a pain.
It is.
He needs something
we had to
easier
go and haul a bunch
So
of
you
stuff in
have-
my truck.
So these are all new.
I do, so for and like I said, I know we gotta discuss money, but, if you were to buy the 3 vehicles outright, it's $89,500. But if you were to do like a 3-year lease, you would pay $332.96. Or if you did a 4-year lease, it would be $27,134, which is what you would pay annually. So we had added the one up, and I just did the one just a few minutes ago. And for the $27,134 is, after 4 years, is $108,000. So
It was about 18,000.
it's like $18,000 or $19,000 more to do a lease.
Yeah, that's what I said. He finds money out for it.
So, and I know I've looked for used. I've tried and tried and tried, and I just sat back there and
Basically,
kind
we'll
of
have to have the commission
right.
have to do it and bring it to us.
And I told Josh, I said, get a couple of options together, probably be in August, the August meeting when you bring your list, because I said if it's gonna be a lease thing, it's gonna affect possibly this year and the next 2 years if you finance over 3. So it'll be a budget concern if that's the way that commissioners, we decide to go. But we were gonna try to glean over the general fund and give you guys some options to think about, you know, plan A, a plan B, and a plan C maybe. Because I mean, this is kind of new territory because we've never supplied the building inspector nor the IT person with a vehicle. Maintenance is, haven't had the older truck, you know, for years, but this is a little bit more of a stretch, you know, and adding more vehicles, which means more insurance, which means more gas, which means more, yeah, so we.
I think we paid almost $6,000 last year, didn't we, extra?
Yeah, they upped our premium and then it's a fleet rate and they average it out, it's all, whether it's a $2,000 vehicle or if it's a $30,000 vehicle, it's kind of all covered under the comprehensive P&L, it's a fleet rate. But when you get to adding more onto the policy, you're gonna have these upticks and they bill you differences, and we had about $5,000 to $6,000 more than we anticipated or budgeted for, didn't we, Teresa? From one, and they take inventory in December. So how you end the year is what they go back and look and see how much extra you owe them from the prior year.
And I think we're all in agreement these guys need vehicles, just trying to find the best bang for the buck, I think.
And we have a lot of vehicles at the county.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just a more or less come in to throw it out there. I'm not asking for an approval today, but I just wanted to get your guys' insight too. So.
Right. And again, basically up to the commissioners
Yeah.
to decide where they want to go. We got the sheriff's department's got 3 vehicles that he wanted to trade in for whatever. And we need 3 vehicles, albeit they're not four-wheel drives, not exactly what we're looking for, but there may be things we can do to get you a vehicle that may not be on your understanding.
You said you haul a trailer, what do you haul a trailer for?
Well, if I go get like building materials for some, like, I have to go get some stuff for the sheriff's department for some work that we've been doing, but I have to get like the corrections has a box trailer that we can sometimes pull. I've taken the mower trailer with my truck, and I've hauled it up here when I had to mow. I mean, so just different things. I'm not saying all the time I have a trailer, but it would be nice if there was one to have. I gotta have something.
You shouldn't have to pull your own vehicle.
Yeah.
The only thing I can tell you is budget's gonna be just crazy next year, and we didn't have anything this year. So
I thought maybe you had it in your pockets.
yeah. And I will tell you, the one little meeting we had with Jack Clemens, we're gonna, with our board, one of the first things he said was, one of the first places you look to cut is if someone's gonna be added to the fleet, or getting a new fleet of cars, that's one of the first places you look to cut, because they already have vehicles. And it's nice to have dudes, and that's a, that doesn't always work. So,
Have you got any money in your budget?
We gotta go through it.
At all?
It's been, in the past, that's been Band-Aid fix. And I don't like doing that. If it's gonna get us broke, I don't wanna put, I don't wanna just put I mean, this building like here, for instance, is, units put in 1994, 95 outside, and I got a pulley there. Well, the pump is 1995, do I replace the pump? That probably needs it, or do I just replace the pulley? Well, I might have to replace the pulley because it's a huge pump. But, for instance, it would really just need a new pump. I mean, these units they're all water source heat pumps, and they're 20 plus years old. They're going out left and right.
But if you and Ben have money in your budget to pay for travel, then that could be used for it.
Mm-hmm. Well, in my travel line is only $200 in travel.
Total?
Total. In my travel, because they've never had, they've never had.
Could travel Seymour back.
Yeah, but it's never had to have mileage.
Okay.
So it's never really been used for anything other than, I got a garage and motor supplies line to fix certain things, maybe in a truck or oil or whatever. I've only ever had $200 in this line, $200 in this line. That's only everything's ever been in there. And it,
Budget last year, there was a surplus in maintenance. He had to build up, which line item was that?
That was in the maintenance, encumbrance for maintenance, and typically there is money left over at the end of the year in that, but like he's saying, if he has something big, he is band-aiding
yeah.
what goes on.
So I'm trying to fix it now, and that's why our line is going to be changed to.
Basically, if he has a big breakdown, he's going to be coming back to ask you all for money from someplace else, because his is really not set up for any large repairs. So, but typically there is money left.
So I was gonna say, if the re-encumbrance, if that line item was big enough, he could borrow from it if he needs a vehicle now,
Right.
and then,
I can
put
give
it
you
back-
all,
put it
I
back
can
after-
later,
after the
a 5
first.
year, I can go back 5 years and show you how much typically is left every year. And if you did an average and say that's what you're gonna look at, earmark that in the line item for him to use for the purchase. So that might be the best.
But Josh's vehicle would be a replacement because he currently has one. Mario here, for instance, they do not have ever had one. They've driven around.
And they've always got mileage.
Yeah, Ben, the building inspector now, a long time ago, when Eugene Curley was building inspector, he did have a pool car available to him. But I believe that is the last time. And since then, I know Lee Gay, when he came on in the early 2000s, he started driving his own vehicle.
And he had a small truck, right? It wasn't a kind of a small one. So,
Two IT persons
you
that
want
have
a
one,
small,
so
like,
Not
Polish
that I know.
they'd be too new. Again, as one councilman, I'm not against what we're looking at. I really like to keep our county people in good equipment, vehicles and everything. I think it's important to do that and have marks so people know their county vehicles. So they can find the money.
Right. And I'm all for the sheriff's department trying to, the LISO program, but last I heard is it's.
Yeah, and it may not happen, but it's
It's
an option to look at.
And we might be wise, and you guys correct me if I'm wrong, we might be wise to not jump into anything, but to put in a budget for 2021 and struggle as much as we can to make it to 2021. And hope we get a pretty good budget, new vehicles, so we can export.
well, if they have the SUVs and the pool cars sitting, the 3 extra ones, just in case the deputies' cars break down, then maybe you could borrow a nice little SUV for, because we've got all these vehicles sitting.
Yeah.
As long as they're not marked with the sheriff's department.
Is everything,
Which I
we
can't
used to have
do
a
anything
clerk.
with that, obviously, and commissioners are the first step to go to, but again, I don't think any of us is strongly opposed to what you propose if we find the funds.
Right, you're looking good.
All right, anything else to come from the council?
Move to adjourn.
We have a motion to adjourn. Half seconds, all in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Thank you all.
Robert?
Thank you, Robert.
You talk and then absent.
We adjourn, Mr. Jones.
Thank you, appreciate it again, thank you so much.
Thank you,
Here's
Raymond.
Donnie, hi Donnie.
You're all
Good
welcome.
seeing you.
Hello, Raymond, how are you?
Doing okay, thank you.
Where's your hairpiece?
Okay. Get a treatment this afternoon, and see the oncologist, so maybe I'll know a little more,